Hey folks, thank you for stopping by Kaiser's Castle. Take a seat on my big orange couch. Grab yourself a coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation. Today, I have a treat for you guys. We're going to lecture from the empty chair, and we're going to fill you in on some things that you may not have known, or at least thought about. Well, you probably all thought about it on my channel. I can guarantee that actually. But as you're sitting on the chair, looking at, or sitting on the big orange couch, looking at that empty chair right there, that was in the Marriott in Berlin. This would have been circa 2013, and we're gonna dive into some of the shenanigans that have been outed, believe it or not, today. Um, it's kind of amazing that people haven't realized. There's a video out now where they're actually conspiring to do things on Telegram, and all of a sudden now it's public, and it's over 200 separate groups that are planning to do this mess, and this is conspiracy cut and dried. And with that being said, my guest today is a very popular guest amongst my channel. It is Kimi. Kimi, how are you doing today, brother?
Hey brother, thank you very much for inviting me again. I'm doing very well today. I'm a bit tired because it's late right now in Central Europe. But yeah, I'm pumped. I'm happy that this October Halloween shit is over, and let's focus on a great future.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's gonna be a great future, and the funny thing about it, I've been telling folks this for quite a while. The brand of Marxism and Maoism that's infected the college campuses. Of course, it started out with Marx, but we cozied up and allowed the schools, the Confucian schools, into colleges, and that was a den of spies. Now you have it outed that Hunter Biden was dealing with one of the spy guys, and we even have him in prison today. The spy guy. So can't remember his name. I want to say Lee, but I'm probably wrong. Maybe Lynn. I think it starts with an L. Lie. Who knows? It's one of those names, or something near it. I believe it's like a three-letter name. Um, but anyways, the whole point of it is, the professors were thinking they're teaching old style Marxism. Well, the kids are radicalized into Maoism. And I hate the false left right paradigm. Everybody on this channel knows it. You put your fingers together over your head, make a big circle, and there is no such thing as a left and right, because where your fingertips meet, that's where mass death occurs, both from the false left dichotomy and the false right dichotomy. And that's where that kind of thing lives. And this is just a fact. And if you want to jump into it for a second, you can, Kimmy. Oh, it's got an East German flavor, the Marxism does, by the way. That was the whole point of showing you some East German things. Sorry about that, Kimmy.
Yeah, so where we go from here, I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's we're just talking about the election cycle and what first I say don't fear anything that's happening. Fear is the thing that you know it just makes people stand still, and it takes a long time for you to realize that you have to break out and actually move, not hide and cower. And everybody's been begging. We all we all were begging for a leader, right? No, there comes a time when you have to realize we are the leader, and we will lead others to vote. That's the number one thing. Get out the vote. Notice I'm not telling you which way to vote. I could care less. I think one's a communist, or at least has a communist as a running mate, and the other one's just proven himself so far. But that's your decision, folks, on my channel. Don't really care which side of the aisle you're on, but you need to know the ramifications of what's going to happen, regardless of who's elected president. Your thoughts?
I think I think people looking for unity. I mean, generally, like most of them. I mean, they're underrepresented in the media. You know, like the silent majority. But right now, they are very visible right now. You know, like and you hear them. And yeah, there's a lot to change. All with all the censorship and so on. I mean, like. Uh, it got really like to a point that is scary for people, you know, like um I can I can also give you like a small example of German extremism right now with COVID. A guy a scientist in the left wing party in Germany called for the government to look into apartments of people if they have COVID or not. So I'm jumping there so you can see like this whole craziness kind of thing. It only starts with censorship on YouTube, but it ends with controlling your apartment. I know that most Americans don't even, you know, like would never expect something like that. But this is happening if you don't have like if you don't have like your right to bear arms and to speak freely what you want. So this is not basically in law in Germany. So they are doing whatever they want. It would never happen in the US, and this is why the US is what it is, you know. And right now, for myself, I honestly hope the best thing for the US, and it will also be the best thing for the rest of the world. So we are demanding Eurolead, of course. It was like this the last 100 years, and yeah, but we needed more than ever unity. You know, like yeah, we need to trust our neighbors. We have to be there for each other. We have to lift us up when we are down, and we have to be like not falsely socialistic. I mean, like we have to be right social. You know, like being there for someone if he needs you, or have like churches helping people to find jobs or give them food, and you know, like helping everyone out at all times everywhere. I mean, like we as a society, as a Western world, we can do that. We can do much more, and we can do better, and we did. And I think now is the time to shine. I mean, it's not only the election, it's not only Trump, it's also us.
That's exactly right. And like we discussed earlier, uh, pray for the best, but prepare for the worst. But the thing about it is that the churches, until socialism infected the globe, and it did, that's a fact, they were the ones that where people met. If somebody was having a hard time, their church was the one who distributed help, to those people with hard times. And we're even talking in America, agnostic or atheist people. The local church would dive in and help them. And the government had nothing to do with it. And I think it was the 50s or it may have been earlier actually. It might have been in the 30s under Roosevelt, but I don't want to die on that. But I think maybe it went back further, but I'm pretty sure it was codified by restrictions through the IRS in the 60s, maybe late 50s, where churches had to get a 501c3, which meant they were they were not going to be doing anything. It's not a C3. I can't remember. It's a 501 series, and it might be a C3, but I don't think so. I think I just screwed that up. And the thing about it is, they were restricted for proselytizing in the pews in their church, which was always the reason why a church had power in a society. And there was always different types of churches, some more conservative, some more liberal. And those people took care of everybody. It did work. It functioned at one point. And then it was under Roosevelt when they first started the socialist programs of, every chicken or a chicken in everyone's pot and all that garbage, that this started happening. But they still had like WPA, work programs for America. They had programs that were good actually during that time, helping people out of the depression. But the churches, like you said, would help find you jobs, or at least odd jobs, to make it to where you and your family could survive and eat too. So that's an important part of society. And I think those that are atheist or agnostic forget that the churches actually were the backbone, and they were the bailiwick to stop somebody from losing, well, maybe not everything, but they would make sure they wouldn't lose their life. And it still goes on today in churches where they'll pay for somebody, but the basic gist of it was the churches lost power. And then they started the destruction of the family under 65 or 64, when they made, if you're getting welfare from the government, you can't have the man in your house. And for your kids, aid for dependent children and whatnot, those programs. And so it's been totally to take the man out of the house first. And there was an interesting book that a brother of mine, a black gentleman, we were working together in the Golden Isles of Georgia during '04. And he was from a whole different state, and he had to have this book. He couldn't find it in California where he was from. And he's a black gentleman. We were partners, great guy. And he had to get this book called How to Make a Slave. And it's more like a pamphlet. So anyways, where we were staying, we were always we always believed that the maids were going through our stuff. So I'm like, dude, he reads it and stuff, and he's like, you got to read this. And I'm like, okay, I will. But I had to hide the daggone thing because it was How to Make a Slave back in the old days by a pirate, or not a pirate, but a slave captain. And like some of the stuff was, first you have to remove the woman from the man. They're using the language of the time. So you'll see certain words being said that will make you uncomfortable, for all the people out there that don't want to feel uncomfortable. Trigger warning on that book. And you take her from the husband and make her dependent on the master for food and welfare and clothing for her kids. And you use the male for breeding stock also, and you work him. And it goes all through everything, right? And the most interesting thing was, at that time I was a libertarian. I was more of a libertarian. And I just started to really get into libertarianism. And he said, see, that's the condition of the black folks right now, that they've got this mentality. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what, as reading that, this is what and I was working for the government, folks, at that time. And I was like, this is what they're doing to everyone now. They're not happy with just having one color a slave. They want us all to be enslaved. And that's what I think the international communist, whether it's Mao or Marx, that's the brand it is. It doesn't matter. It's still communism. And your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. It's maybe maybe it's some, like maybe they let us have, like um keep some parts of capitalism, like like just for reasons that you feel good and you don't fight too hard what's coming. But if you look at the Agenda 2030 and global reset from uh, the World Economic Forum, it says 2030 you will be happy and you will have nothing. Nothing. You don't own anything. Everyone owns nothing. So the state owes everything. So you will have your card, your ID 21 card, where there is your vaccines on it, your fingerprints, everything about you is on this. And it's like in China, if you want to use something, then you have to go along with this system. Then you can have everything. You can have like you can do whatever you want. But is this supposed how we live? No. So this is like, yeah, it's kind of the next evolution phase of Maoism and communism and everything together, like every word thing together combined, and with a like with a rainbow color on it, so it sells good, like you have some promise if you go along, but for people like me, it's a nightmare, and it will be definitely a nightmare.
Well, the interesting thing that you brought up there is 2020. That was Agenda 2021 at that time when they planned on implementing all this. Of course, Hillary was supposed to be president to do that, to continue that on. And 2030 is just a continuation of that. So I find it interesting that this election cycle, the moneyed people, the people who are the internationalists, the globalists, whatever you want to call them, um, the point is they're still pushing the project to keep their timeline. And that's why the vote is important. A lot of people think their votes don't count. Hey, in a small precinct for voting, one person's vote can change it. So, that's why I push voting. You still have the right. And remember, it's like my aunt always said back in the day, once you lose a right, you never get it back. And you used to be able to smoke in restaurants. You could smoke anywhere. You could smoke on an aircraft. Hell, I did it. It was never a problem to smoke on an aircraft. But now, oh no, somebody complained. People complained in the restaurants. I get it, but they had smoking areas, and people. My wife's a non-smoker, and when I'm smoking, she says she can smell it. So I put plastic up around the area where I do my shows and stuff, so that she doesn't smell it, and I have a ventilation going out the window. So, in the summertime, the doors and windows are all open, so we don't have that issue. But this is just, I can smell it, so I know I'm getting secondhand smoke. No, you're not. You smell it because the smell permeates this area. But my wife's not a liberal, and she's not. Well, classical liberal is not a bad thing. Let me rephrase that. She's not a progressive or a leftist, which I hate that paradigm. But neo-progs are a real thing, and neocons, and they both believe in war. They're chicken hawks. They would never go to war themselves, but they want other people to fight it, usually young men and women. And that's a fact. So, yeah, but those people started gaining a hand. And what was the next thing they do? They try to go after your freedom of speech, your right to speak. Look, the best cure for bad speech is more speech or better speech. If you think something's bad, but you don't try to control another person's speech. If I disagree with Kimmy, if I disagree with anybody that I've ever had on my show, I can agree to disagree with them. And I don't have to be disagreeable. And that's something we've lost, the civility within our society. Your thoughts, brother? Our societies.
Yeah, it's a gentleman agreement, you know, like it was there forever, you know, like I don't know, we had respect for each other, you know, like you are a man, you have your values, you have your opinion. I can accept that. Please put it forward in a good manner, and I can shake hands with you after we spoke, and we can go along and drink a beer, no problem, you know, like um right now it's like it's childish, you know, like even to not want to be with someone, or be you know, like agree to disagree with each other, you know, like you're always looking for the next enemy, you know, and that is leading to nothing good, you know, like that's leading to civil unrest and civil war, because we can't trust each other. And yeah, I mean, like I don't even agree with myself, right? So sometimes I don't even agree with my wife, or so, you know, like we have to, you know, put, you know, like put the time a little bit back, and take the right exit, you know, and um, play along, you know, be nice, be humble, speak with people. You know, this is the art of being a man, or a human, or a woman, you know, like it's you have to speak with each other. We're humans. We can speak just normal with each other. So
Exactly, brother, and that's the whole point of it. I mean, in all honesty, I remember in high school. I don't know what your reality was where you live in Europe, but we could get in a knuckle dust up with each other at school or behind Frank's Nursery and Craft, where we used to go to fight because it was off school premises, and you'd end up meeting them that evening at rinks. And if you had a bottle of Orange Jubilee, Orange Jube is what we used to call it, or you had some Mad Dog 2020 grape, or if you had, a Miller High Life, you'd give them a beer, or they'd give you a beer, and you would be laughing and joking with them after that. There was nothing. You see a pettiness in society now, where speech is violence. No, violence is violence. I've meted it out, and I've had it meted out on me, and it doesn't matter. And it's just a natural course in human evolution since Cain versus Abel. When Cain killed his brother Abel, or Abel killed Cain, whichever way it went, I forget now. But the point is, there is that natural instinct, just like with all mammalians, and for violence. And the thing is to try to control that violence, because as I told my son and all my mentees and everybody else I know when I'm talking with them, don't put too much garbage in your head, like media, horror movies and whatnot. We're coming out of Halloween, so I guess this is apropos to talk about it, because in your life you will see worse than what you'll ever see on the big screen, and all that does is harden you to human suffering, and it disturbs you. And you don't need to be disturbed, because there's enough disturbing IRL. The problem is we've raised a generation of children. Not my son. I mean, my son's fairly even tempered and good to go. But the thing is that they're all plugged into computers. So luckily he's IRL. He likes to play a silly game, Magic the Gathering or whatever. That's just what he does. But he's with his friends, so he's socializing. Uh, he played video games. He went through that phase. He can play them. I can't. And he also watched too much TV, and now he doesn't. He's got his art going on. He's got too much going on in real life, and that's the problem you're finding with this crap. is that you're finding um, people just buying in to, let me go look at Twitter to see what's going on. Let me go look at Facebook. Well, that's fantasy land. That's not reality. You think anybody posts real pictures on Facebook or any other social media site? I mean, they may be real of something they're doing, but are they going to post video and pictures? Well, some people do, I guess, but of them arguing with their wife and kids, uh, putting themselves in a bad light? Hell no. And that's the reality of the situation. You know, on my channel, I post. One guy pointed it out. Thank you, whoever you were. I can't remember your name, but I believe you're still on the page. You were like, there's selfies on this one show that I was talking about something. And you know what? I never really realized that I had loaded it with selfies. I was using an old mix of pictures. And it was irrelevant to actually what was being talked about. And I was like, thank you for letting me know. Because I never listen to my shows. I do them, I upload them, I don't cut them, and you get at least real speech from me. And I think you do with Kimi. I think you did with Jeffrey the other day, or last week. I think you have with Hesher. I believe you have with, I think Ruckus and I did a show. Oh, I think we did that on PSN. But yeah, and break out of your paradigm. Get uncomfortable. I go to alternate current radio. There's a lot of programs. There's people who disagree with me, but I'm civil with them, and that's the whole point. Your thoughts on that, brother?
Exactly. It's like a debating, fighting culture. Like brawl together and get better. Everyone. Like get along. So. It was always like that. Also, when I had friends, back in the day, with friends, and we were outside, and I mean, like, it was never easy, but we were fighting and we had argues and so on. But you growing with this, so you can forge an opinion, with people when you're around someone that is not agreeing with you, so they also learn and you learn, and yeah, just it's really easy. Just make friends, have a good time, don't be a dick, and the world is gonna be your friend. But apparently people don't understand that anymore, because maybe they didn't have anyone in their family who went to war, or they don't have any real feelings about how violence and how extremism, in any way plays out, so they were unthankful for what they had or what they have. And yeah, I don't want to blame them. I mean, like, completely, man. I mean, we have issues like there's some issues, like I'm not agreeing with all the BLM movement and everything there. So, but of course there is some violence around police sometimes. Of course, you will always find people that do wrongs. Like, but we don't focus on this. We have to focus on what's connecting each other. Like on the positive note. So. We all love food. We all like food. We all have, maybe most of us have animal at home, cats, dogs, I don't know what. Uh, Most of us do like the same things. They want to have their peace. They want to have their children. So, yeah, we have to learn that again, how we can live with each other without having the same opinion.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the same thing. Like I taught my twin sister how to fight. Females were not, at our school, were not exempted from fighting with other females, and we even had some females, some tough girls that would go against boys. So trust me, that was something that our school, and my twin sister, she never had a problem. Her first fight, she was scared to death, but she was a trooper. She won that fight from somebody who was a lot bigger than her, and it was hilarious. But the greater point is that for both male and female, you have to understand that speech is not violence. Violence is violence. Quit confusing terms. All you're doing is confusing yourself and making yourself sound very, very disturbed, mentally disturbed, actually. And the other thing that I'll say is in 2013, bro, when I went, that's why I'm posting these photos. I didn't put anybody's pictures in it because I'm just not going to do it. But where lecturing to an empty chair's picture actually originated was a guy by the name of Konstantin von Bosner's. It's in the Marriott, the hotel I was staying at off Potsdamer Platz, in what used to be East Berlin. It was the trendy place, and I stayed in the East, just enjoying it. I loved going and getting the mustard that I had when I was young, that comes from the East. I'll let you guys figure it's Bautzen. It's from Bautzen. So, anyways, that's, you guys figure it out. It's a Senf mustard, so it's a hot mustard. Anyways, it's called Bautzner. That's the mustard's name. Anyways, and I just enjoyed it. It was a good time. But we all got together, a bunch of friends from that era, from the Cold War era, actually, and we weren't all friends during those troubles during the Cold War, but we got to be friends later, just for reasons. And I guess bearing the hatchet, going back to Vietnam, like veterans, they would go back to Vietnam and talk to people they used to fight against. And the interesting thing was they all had similar backgrounds to me. And we saw this coming in 2013. And when we were in that smoking lounge and drinking, and like I said, I got there first because I was staying at the hotel. The other folks were staying other places. And that's why I took this picture. And it's that empty chair with other chairs around it. I have other pictures that show how big that room is. But it's honestly von Bosner's. And by the way, von Bosner, if you look him up, Konstantin von Bosner, he was a KGB agent. He worked in Bosner's not his real last name, by the way. And you'll see him when you look him up. It'll be all written in Cyrillic writing. And he's a bought title. Von meaning, a knighthood. And he bought it off somebody. So, he owns Bosner Cigars. He also has a magazine. I can't remember the name of it now, that he produces. But see, people don't understand how this whole web works. Is people now, from the old days, we talk. And we actually understand things that a lot of people, there's something called institutional memory. And the problem is with today's people, and you tell me if you think I'm incorrect, Kimmy, because I value you as a somewhat younger gentleman and more in tune with the culture of Europe. People, I think, in the West especially, not so much the East. This may be the first time the East saves the West, in my belief. And I've said that to another brother on the place where we all hang out. And the funniest thing about this is that institutional memory is the thing we sadly lack, because everybody wants to get rid of history, right? Well, why would you do that? Well, to get rid of institutional history so you don't have people that can actually say, this is not how this used to be. People could smoke on airplanes, people could smoke in a restaurant. This is the way it used to be, and this is the way that's correct. The whining, sniveling babies you have caved into ever since the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The mad mothers, mothers against drunk driving, the mostly women and some effeminate men would complain about cigarette smoke, even though there was a separate smoking area. And these things slowly crept in, and now they're going after your speech, but they went after your guns at one point. The first time they went after guns, it was a Saturday Night Special. I remember this when they did it. It was in the 70s, folks, that I remember them really pushing, got to get rid of these Saturday Night Specials, 38 revolvers. Well, the thing is, women carried them because we had rape and murder epidemics, mass murder epidemics in the 70s. And epidemic meaning the new scare, the moral panic. There's always been mass murderers. But this is what the media created. The media creates the hype, and everybody buys into it. Just like global cooling, then global warming. Now it's global climate change. They change the goalpost and change the language. Your thoughts on that, brother?
Yeah, it's just can I say it? It's yeah, they try to control the public. You know, like it's mind control basically. So it's programming the people. You know, like do this, do that. You know, like this is hype, this is scary, this is not good. Yeah, and people jump over every thing they throw at them. You know, like they take every leap they can, and that's kind of scary. You know, like really. Um, we had this also. Like we had I can remember, you know, when I went to school, I had a fairly long way to the school. I had to go by train to the city, you know, and it took me like an hour or something like that from my place I grew up to the school. And we always had in the train we had one part of the train was for smokers in the front of the train all the time, you know?
Right.
And I don't get it why. I mean, like, I can accept that I'm not a smoker, by the way, so I can accept that people can um, limit the smoking in a public area because, like, yeah, you have like clothes that can burn, you know, like people that I was always pissed that in, you know, in clubs and somewhere else, you know, like I had to passively smoke or get like a cigarette touching my clothes and then I get burned or something like that. And I found that to be like kind of rude, you know. But you have to give people their space where they can smoke without being, you know, like excluded at all. You know, like that's just one thing. You know, like we are touching right now. But this train, this part of the train, nobody bothered. It was nice. It was always, oh, you know, like if back in the day, if you wanted to have some good time and fun jokes, and you know where you found your friends smoking cigarettes at that time, or weed or whatever. And I don't want to promote weed at all, but yeah, you always you went there and you had a good time. It was funny. So and now everything is so over-regulated, so over-controlled, so much debates about everything. You know, like it's the same thing with dogs. You know, like you have one time you have a dog that bites children deaf or something else terrible, like this is happening, like from a crazy person who didn't control their dog, and everybody screams up, "Oh, now we have to forbid the dogs, and this dog and that dog," and like with the pit bulls here in Europe, or like some dogs, you can't, it's not allowed to own them here, and when you do, they have to be on the leash 24/7, so the over regulations and control is bad, is really bad. I always, like I always hated it that people is come to you and tell you what to do and what not to do. I mean, there must be like, uh, like some things you don't do. You don't harm people. You don't like insult people. Like this is all like logical. So can't we go all back to normal and behave normal and speak normal? I mean, like that's an honest question. Is it Was it so bad in the 80s, like when we were like, I mean, um, when we spoke normal and we were greeting people on the streets that we cross. I mean, today you're scared that someone is throwing a rock at you or something like that. I mean, if you don't have the right pin or hair color or I don't know what, and yeah, it's segregation, and it's divide and conquer, and it's just not fun, right? So
Yeah, it's segregation, isolation. Look, here's what this thing has become. Um, Everybody talks about doxing and all this crap. I mean, I self-dox. I don't give a shit. You know that. Nor will I ever give a shit about it because I'm my own guy, and I'm firm and confident in my masculinity. And guess what? There's a lot of other people like that too, and there's women who are confident in their femininity, but they're also in touch with their normal human side, which does have you know that streak in them. That's all I'll say on that. And the point being, why I brought that up is back in the '80s. I'll never forget. Every time I was in a bar or something, it didn't matter if I was sloppy drunk. Um, I would, if I was getting ready to light a cigarette and I'm talking with somebody, I said, "I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. Do you mind?" And they'd say yes or no. If they said yes, say, "Well, I'm gonna step over here to another table and I'll smoke my cigarette and then I'll come back and we can finish the talk." And we would do that. That was an actual thing. People burning their clothes and stuff. Sure, I've burned my clothes before, and that's one of the costs of being a smoker. And I did quit for several years, probably about 10 years, and I was in the best shape of my life back then. I was in my 30s, going into my 40s. Had a great time with my life, but went back to the Middle East where smoking is a part of the culture. It's just like drinking chai, which is tea. And I started smoking again. They would offer me all the time, and no, I don't smoke, no, I don't smoke. And I'm like, fuck it, give me a cigarette. And that started it. And it went, here's the sad fact of this, folks. If you're a smoker, do quit. You'll pick up, not like you just started smoking again, where you can have one fag a day. A fag meaning a cigarette, folks. Sorry I used the language that the English use because I've worked with them too many times. It's a cigarette, and I meant it in that manner. But the point is, no, you start where you stopped, and I'm a 3-pack a day smoker now, and that's reality. But a lot of it has to do with just the nature of my work, and it's something I can do with my hands instead of doing other things that I probably ought not do. The devil's hands can be busy sometimes. So I guess the point is there was a modicum of decorum we had. And because people pushed it, you had other people pushing back. This is a natural course. People will push back and say, screw it, I don't care if you don't want me to smoke. You know, as I just stated, I've done things in my own home along with my wife to make her house, which is her house. I gave her full deed to it when I started doing my own contracting because I don't own anything. You can't come after me for anything. And I'm just a poor guy with old cars. And that's the way I like to keep it. Nobody needs to know my business. And my business is good. Anyways, brother, you go on with that.
Well, yeah, about smoking, it's I mean like it's a habit you have or not, but you should choose your habits whatever you want, basically, and live your life freely. And if you want to smoke, you should smoke. I mean, like I mean, if you like weed, then you like weed. I mean, if you need a beer, you should drink a beer or should more drink more beers. I mean, like um, you have to know for yourself all the time what is good and what is bad, and you have to choose, not anyone else, or should let you decide what you're going to do with your life and what is necessary for you and what not. So yeah, that's smoking part.
Yeah, I'd love to go back to something you brought up 2021 and 2030. One thing a lot of people don't realize now, Christians will realize this instantly when you're bringing up those facts. Uh, Tracking your, I'm sorry I didn't bring this up earlier. We got on the smoking sidetrack, which, and the other rights, the Second Amendment, First Amendment. So, you know, it's if they take a right, you're never going to get it back, and that's a fact. So now let's go back to what you were talking about you know having a record of your vaccines, doing knowing your blood type, knowing everything about you. You know, think about it now. You have
Every transaction, everything you own. Maybe they include also like
yes,
your
your DNA.
Bitcoin number, your personal number, yeah,
Yeah,
your universal personal number, and so on, right?
yeah, that's exactly right. And your DNA. And I believe Christians understand this more than most because it was written about back in a time when none of this was even thought of. And they used to say the mark of the beast would be, when I was a kid, it was a tattoo. Then it became a pin that was stuck in your body. Then it became like it started out as a brand where you physically got branded. Then a tattoo. Then I'm trying to remember the name of the book series. It was a 3 series book. It was, you could find it at the Christian bookstore, and it was actually pretty good. It was written like people were going through it, and I'll remember it later because I can't remember it now. But the point is, then it became a pinprick. You know, pins in you, and well, we had Digital Angel come up. Now they're talking about, and it was always right hand forehead, and Digital Angel actually, that's how it can generate power because it has it put somewhere Digital Angels for dogs, and they still have it, and it has been used with humans, and that's all I can say on that. But the point is that, you know, this shit was written about in an era where how would they know in Revelations is this would be what it is, and now it can be DNA. They get your DNA code Basically, all you have to do is give a sample of DNA, maybe saliva, and cash transactions can be taking place. They'll know your immunization history. Everything's an open book. And that's something about personal privacy rights. It's the same thing with privacy rights for smoking and all that other crap, but this is another level where they're more invasive. They now know who you are, what you are, and where your family line comes from. And when people gripe, I have 4 separate letters from separate agencies, including one state agency, the Ohio Army National Guard, where, believe it or not, the Chinese under Obama had, thank you, Joe Biden and Hunter, for probably getting them the ability to stay in for 2 years in military and federal records. Every one of us who were federal employees, every one of us who were in the military, including state guard, they had unfettered access for 2 years. Depending on your clearance, you'd have to change your password every 30 days or every 90 days. Mandatory. And yet they had access for 2 years. That means somebody put them in the system to be able to collect that data. That was over 50 to 60 million Americans. And guess what they get from that? Your family line. And you think that's not important? I'll tell you why it's important. There's something we used to joke around about in the military. And everybody who was in, the U.S. doesn't have a caste system. We're not India or something. But we kind of do. Most people in the military, there is the aberration once in a while. But most people in the military have a mother, father, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, and so on in their family line, grandfather, grandmother, who served in the military. And so you can go down family lines with that. So they can know even more about you and your family lines. So if you're ashamed of something in your family line, let's say you have pimps and horse thieves in your background, well, guess what? They'll know about it, and that might be blackmailable to some people. Your thoughts on that, brother, with that last rant?
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely crucial that you have your private fair, and like keep your stuff to you, like your family issues, your everything, like the violation on privacy is the worst thing you can imagine, and I think in the States, you are in a better shape, in terms of that than we in Europe, because we have like already, we have no backlash. We don't have like this big block of red conservative states that know that they don't need that, like their life is good. Why do you why do you need something you don't need, like makes your life just the more complicated, and someone else has profit, and benefit from it. So we should be like very skeptical to that. And yeah, I see it implemented a lot here already. I mean, like they're collecting data on everything here. They even they even go on and break laws to collect data. So, I mean, like, and they don't tell you that. So this is how the government works behind you. They're doing stuff they don't they shouldn't do, to profile you. Like if you look at take a look at London, like the right now the system looks exactly like in China. It sees who you are, what you've done. The camera exactly knows your face, your reputation. You know, the controller who watches the video, controls the street or the camera or whatever, sees exactly all informations about you, your personal life, everything. You're like an empty bottle, you know, you can see through and they can just crush you anytime they want. So this is the state of 2020, and the goal of 2021 they had is almost there, you know, like it's just you the listener, it's just us, it's just a big block in the US that don't give a shit about that. And yeah, we have to decline this, even if it's you know, some people decide to do that and it's not going to be mandatory or implemented into state things. um, Still don't accept it. I think I can make a little jump to something like called Alexa you have at home. It's this Amazon device. I mean, like our devices, like your phone, already spies on you all the time. It takes all the apps, you know, like they
Good
gather
stuff. Keep
information.
rolling, brother.
Yeah, they track informations all the time about everything. I mean, Instagram always like sends you like whatever you talk lately with your family. They take everything. I mean, like they keep. I think they save about like 100 words or 100 topics you're interested to, something like that. And you can test that if you want. I mean, like it's old trick. I mean, like it's basically known and it's so in your face, and they still decline it. And I find it laughable that the U.S. government doesn't do something about the violation of privacy there, and just crush those companies for it. Or yeah, the state attorney has to to do his fucking job finally. I mean, like, if Trump's going to get elected, I expect a lot more and more um, control. I mean, from these crazy companies that are sellouts to other states like China. So guys, it's very important that the US is sovereign and knows what's going on. Companies can't take over your country. It's not the United States of Google. It's the United States of America, right? So this has to be like
Right.
yeah, this demon has to get slayed. By the way, it really has to. You know, like otherwise, I fear that it's and ends up in this total control, crazy world like in China. And I see people go along right now with this because of the COVID situation. Normally, never would normal people wouldn't, you know, they wouldn't accept those crazy things, you know, like and having an ID always with you with everything and screening your face and whatnot. And these are just like things to make us adapt to this system, to everything, you know, accept it, be part of it, and and let it grow, you know, like
Yep.
it's just goes along like one thing comes after another. First the masks, then the mandatory vaccines, then the mandatory ID 2021 because maybe you had contact with sick people and blah 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 blah, you know, everything they're going to tell you. So right now is the time to say no.
Exactly. I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a band called CCP, and they had a song, United States of Europe. And I remember it was coming out of the punk scene, post-punk scene, which I used to hang with, and I'm sure you know it too, brother. And it was, United States of Europe. And the interesting thing was that was like, yeah, man, that'd be awesome if Europe could get together. And now we've seen what Brussels has done with this. And it actually, for those on the left, and that's what so shocks me. Those on the left that should be against it. I mean, when you now have Johnny Rotten coming out and saying he's voting for Trump, well, the left may have lost its mooring somewhere. You're no longer an anarchist. Does not mean, and I know Trump is clumsy, but he's slightly older than I am. I know anarchist, it just means without rules, without a ruler. Not without rules, but without a ruler. You self-describe your rules, and you make sure you stay within those parameters of a civilized society. But you also have fun, and it's about freedom. Well, no, not now. These people think they're punk rock. They're not. You're not punk rock if you're not out there wanting to do the right thing. And it's all about social signaling at this point. And what I mean by that is nobody wants to be thought of badly because they have wrong think. This is Orwellian, but it's not just Orwellian. This is from one book I'll give you, and I've talked about it before. One straight up book I'll give you is it was called Rules for Radical by Saul Alinsky. Okay, and they have the same thing written there: isolate, target, isolate, and destroy. Well, that's Stasi disintegration, cut and dried. And disintegration meant disintegration from society. And there's some good books out there that I have in a picture that I posted, along with an actual real East German passport, by the way. That passport's long gone. The one book's on East German Air Force. And then you guys do some reading, and you'll see the East German ties. I throw up some propaganda and also a couple menus, one from München and one from Berlin, 2 separate times. I was there. So, anyways, it's just an important thing that you remember where all this started and how it all started. Now, the banner, the window banner that you'll see, that's something you could hang off your rearview mirror. Yeah, of course, it has the hammer and compass and the East German colors, which are the same as the German colors, and then the wreath around it that is made of grain. Well, the funny part about that, East Germany was probably the most technologically advanced society that the Soviet Union client states, any of them, had. And that was under Honecker and Milke. Eric, on both of their first names are Eric. Eric Honecker, Eric Milke. Eric Milke headed the Stasi. And on the back of that banner, it says Karl Marxstadt. And they just changed the name of a town to Karl Marx State in English, so people understand what I'm saying. And this is all arbitrary bullshit. And folks, you need to understand, communism didn't die, it morphed. It went into the Green Party, Green New Deal, all that stuff. And I said that when Gorbachev, remember, everybody forgets, when Gorbachev took over, it became the green. He became really green and environmental. Well, welcome to the New World. Welcome to the New World Order. And the funny thing about the United States of Europe, the Brussels charter on it, Germany controls it. Angela Merkel came from Christian Democratic Union, CDU. Um, that was one of the last parties East Germany had, and she was FDJ, and she was also, from all accounts, a Stasi informant. And everybody thinks she's stupid. I feel bad for her right now. I think she actually has not Alzheimer's, but Parkinson's by the way she shakes. So I kind of feel bad for her for reasons. But what I will say is she's not the person she was before. You can tell. And that's all I have to say on that. Your thoughts, man?
She was, she was, by the way, she was in the Tavistock Institute when she was
Yep.
in the FDJ, you know, when she was still in the DDR and in the socialistic party. She was like
Yep.
supported there big time, and she went to London, and she was there with Theresa May and
Yep.
the other woman. What is her name? Prime Minister of Lithuania. Wait, let me see.
I
What's her
can't remember
name?
her name. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her
Yeah,
name either.
they were together, all together at the same time with the same in the same school there, Tavistock Institute
Right.
in London, and now all those women are in power or were in power, and uh, had their law implemented, you know, into society. So yeah,
It wasn't.
I
When you look at Brussels in the United States of Europe, honestly, that design, if you look back and you're honest, that's National Socialist design. Germany's in charge of all of Europe. That's why you have the pushback from Italy, Spain. You've had the pushback from Greece. The East, the ones that actually wanted to do it, they've all backed out now because they saw it was all about getting them into the World Monetary Bank. And that's problematic because then your nation becomes subject to their whims. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it is how it is. I mean, they still roll like that. I mean, like it's all big fucking mafia. I mean, like if you, I don't know if even if if their plans for this new world society basically fails, and it kind of fails right now, but I don't know how much failing was planned, you know. So um, you always have to ask what they have in their other hand, you know. Like some of it it's bait, some of it it's they it's a big complicated game, and sometimes I start at point zero, or sometimes I have zero idea what's going on. So it's really difficult to understand the situations. So you always have to take also the facts, what's going on right now, and value this, you know. And then you always have to have your own agenda, and the agenda of people you love and you trust and your community, like we do, right? So
Right. Within the
yeah,
ACR community. Yeah, the alternative current radio community. Right.
yeah, kind of that. You find yours. I mean, inform your friends and your family, and right. I mean, you said the right thing. I mean, like a woken a woken society that can rule itself, doesn't need a leader at all. I mean, if you ask me, when I get like in a personal sense, I don't, I can't see anyone that leads us to anything, like I can only see someone who can give us directions, but we as a society have to work with each other.
Exactly. We have to lead. I agree with you, brother. Everything you were saying. Did you have more to say? Because it sounded like you arbitrarily shut down, or did your computer fail or something? What's up?
Nope, everything is still fine. So, yeah, so I I I guess we have to wait and see what's going on. I see their plans also kind of failing, like it's like yeah, I think the outcome will be something we don't expect it, like just wait and see what's going on and what's going to happen. And I also see Merkel's day are gone. And somehow I have also hope for Germany to get along in the future and be something it was always meant to be, like a big Western good country that you can go there and find like-minded people, philosophical people who think a lot and bring a lot of ideas in. That is the origin of Germany, not the violent one you remember from the 1930s. Um, uh, so that's the origin, and maybe that's the future of it.
Well, that you hit the nail on the head in a way, man. Because back when Thatcher, Reagan, and Helmut Kohl ruled the roost, Germany was strong, and I have a picture up. And this is when Germany was divided. I'll never forget. I got a T-shirt when I got back from the Gulf War. I was stationed at Camp Pendleton. There's a place called Alpine Village. You get off the Hawaiian Gardens exit off the 405, and you'll find it. It's near a flea market that's open every day. But it's an actual village where the Germans who live there go to shop in California, and they have the German brands, Bautzner. They have everything there. If you want to buy it, you could buy it. And there was Ein Recht in frei deutsches Vaterland, one right and free German fatherland. And it had the old East-West, the flags on both sides. It's now in a quilt my wife had made for me in 2005 when I was gone. She just had them cut out my favorite T-shirts, and she made this awesome quilt for me while I was gone. And that's truth. There was hope that there would be a right and free German uh, homeland, for the German people. I'm not German, I'm American. But that was a good thing. And they perverted it. And in this picture that I have posted right now, it's right across from Checkpoint Charlie. Checkpoint Charlie's probably 60 feet away from this building, and you have the East German emblem over it, and on the top where the meetings actually took place. And of course, it's fenced in. They don't want people to go in and see that shit. And this is back in 2013. And you had the American flag, the English flag, the Britannia flag. You have the French flag and the Soviet flag. It was always painted on there because that was where everybody met to discuss tensions between East and West Germany. It wasn't at Brandenburg Gate. Reagan gave an epic speech there, but that's not where any of that action happened. It happened in there with politicians and generals on both sides, on all sides. We're talking 5 separate countries Do you think there were microaggressions? No. Do you think there was disagreements? Hell yeah, there were. But they always would leave. In the Soviet ZILs, I believe one general, if memory serves, used to ride out in a no, I'm trying to think of the name of it. It was an East German car. He was an East German general. It was a
Robbie?
yeah, Trabi, yeah, a Trabant, yeah, and go back across the border, and this was the norm. And then of course everybody knows where the bridge is, where spies were transferred and stuff. I never took any pictures there because, anyways, the point is, now that's all museums. And the museums, I mean, everybody buys something from it. I did. I'm not going to lie. But it's history. If it's your history, it's not bad to remember it. It's not bad to go back to places you've been no matter what happened. These are things that are important, and that's what they're trying to wash away. Your thoughts on that, brother?
Well, yeah. So it's also difficult for right now. The situation is very difficult because those young people that are 20 and so on, they they have no idea how it was before mobile phones and everything. And yeah, the last 20 years were gone very fast. I mean after the September date, like I can't say what it is here, but everything rushed. I mean, like for me, of course, 20 years was 20 years, but anyways, these young people don't know, like all those rules, all those good memories we had when society functions on a complete different level, not on that level right now of like, oh, someone said something bad in the internet, like nobody cared about anyone who wrote anything, or if you insulted anyone like one day and then the next day was good again. We had like a really yeah, we had a town hall, town square society that worked like with meeting each other and talking about that. And yeah, and it was easier and it was more enjoyable. And I I highly can recommend the young people, hopefully, like some of them are listening, I don't know, so to do so, like always, like engage with your friends and so on, build communities and have a dialogue. And yeah.
You're exactly right. That's exactly what's needed, brother. And we're getting to that point where probably at the hour mark, maybe a little over. This is always an epic talk, and I want you to have the last word, but I definitely will say this. There's something that's happened, the disconnect, and what I'll say it is, and I do believe this, is social media. There is good social media. You can find it. If you go type in the term alternate current radio, you're going to find everybody there on that radio site when they have. And tomorrow they're planning on having a big discussion on the election results, which will be spirited and people will disagree. And that's perfect. And of course, I'll give a hashtag to it in the show, as well as I do PSN radio, and as well as I always do WPRPN, World Pirate Radio Podcast Network. And these are just places that I usually hang out because these people disagree with me. And there's nothing better for a mind than having people that disagree with you. And even if they agree with you, they're going to disagree at some point. And so there's always the pushback, that constant flow. Like you said earlier, Kimmy, it's very important. There's times you thought you were right and you realized you were wrong. And that's called growth. Last time I looked. Your thoughts? You got the last word.
Well, yeah, I think we have to pick up some old society rules, like live and let live, and have free speech, and yeah, work better together. I mean, like, it's more fun to have friends than enemies. I mean, honestly. And yeah, that's basically it.
That was the perfect synopsis of this entire show. Live and let live. With that being said, folks, I really want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this show. Hopefully you got something out of it. I always pimp places I go because those people are epic. And that's just the way I am. And I don't make a dime off this channel. This is more of a log for my son than it is for anything else. So he knows what daddy did. So, thank you for sitting on my big orange couch. Grab your coffee, tea, soda, or adult libation. And I'll slowly raise the drawbridge as you exit, and you've been lectured to an empty chair tonight. And you exit from my big orange couch and cross over the drawbridge at Kaiser's Castle. With that being said, shove out.